before we leave here today, I'm going to try and draw some of you into giving me some ideas about how we create jobs in Ohio. I'll tell you a little story about something that I did years ago. Back in 1978, I was a county commissioner, and times weren't that good. And so one of the things that we proposed to do at that time was I said, you know, let's take some of this community development block grant money and put it into a revolving loan fund so that we can help small businesses grow in Geauga County. So we put $165,000 into the account, and lo and behold, about 3 weeks later, I read in the paper that a company, and I'll tell you their name in a minute, you've heard of them, was going to move from 77 Rockside, which is the southern area of Geauga County, to a place in Indiana. And I said, you know what, this sounds like a business that we should have. And I called up the president of the company, a guy named Richard Moody. And I said, Richard, I'd like to buy you dinner tonight. And he said, what's this all about? I says, I'm not going to let you move to Indiana. And one of his hot buttons was he wanted to make sure that he had an Amish community that he could move to. Because by the end of that evening, I at least convinced him not to sign the final paperwork going into Indiana. And so we made him a deal. Prime at that time, prime interest rate was at 9%. And we loaned him $165,000 at 3%. He was delighted. But his project was bigger than that. And he told me something that really got me excited. He said, you know, he says, this production line I'm building, or I'm buying, is made in Germany. He says, the only other company in the world that owns one has 1,000 employees. Now, he had 160 at the time. And he basically agreed to create 100 jobs in Geauga County because of the money we loaned him. We went to the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio came along and they said, listen, we really like this project. We'll loan $700,000 at, I think it was 6.5%. So again, below prime. And that's how craft-made cabinets came to be in Geauga County. And as a result of that, you know, we were hoping for 100 jobs, and 4 years later it was 1,000 jobs. And 10 years after that, it was 4,000 jobs. So a small program, cleverly conceived, was able to create 4,000 jobs in a county that only had about 80,000 people in it. Very substantial impact. Very substantial impact. And the reason I say that is because that's the kind of clever thinking that we have to have if we are going to be able to attract new businesses into our communities. The big money that Governor Kasich talks about, and by the way, his latest idea about taking funds from the Liquor Control Board and giving it to a private organization called Jobs of Ohio, where we have virtually no oversight. The auditors aren't going to go in there, check the books. It's like we're just giving the money to this private corporation to try and create jobs in Ohio. My opinion is that I'm not opposed to what he's trying to do. I'm very much opposed to the fact that there's no audit trail and there's nobody being accountable for where that money's going. But the point of the matter is that revolving loan funds are extremely beneficial. My Republican county commissioners in Geauga County tell me that the program that I started 30 years ago has created over 5,000 jobs in Geauga County, which is pretty amazing. And the reason that it's useful and it's beneficial is that it doesn't target large corporations. We're not trying to, I don't know if any of you are aware of this, Ohio made a big thrust at trying to get Sears Corporation to move to Ohio. And I want to tell you something. The governor promised them everything under the sun. And as of right now, I don't know whether they're coming or going. I haven't read the final results of that, but they're still contemplating it. The point of the matter is that those people are not maybe as sincere as your local community is. The people that we loaned money to in this revolving loan fund, which by the way was not a grant, they had to pay it back. And in Geauga County, we went from $165,000. We now have, even though we're a moderately small county in Ohio, we have the second largest revolving loan fund in the state with $13 million in it. And it can create jobs every day of the week. And that's what's important. We have to do that. And the other thing that I feel is that I would like to introduce legislation if I'm elected as state senator to require a revolving loan fund in every state or every city and every community in Ohio. Because I think it's very beneficial, because it targets small businesses. We're not talking about large businesses that have 1,000 employees. That's very hard to do. But when Benny's Bakery comes in and says, listen, I got 11 employees, I do industrial baking, I provide baked goods to restaurants and institutions in our community, and if I could borrow money at low rates, I'll hire another 10 people if I can buy this new oven. Those are the kinds of businesses that we want to grow. And guess what? Nobody from China is going to take that job away. Nobody out of our area is going to be able to do that because it's locally grown businesses and they're going to stay in our community.